And welcome to the most must see podcast on Thursday nights. That's Top Rope Wrestling Talk. My name's Kev. Glad to have you all here. We're here with Brian. With you got to show off, bitch, from the very beginning. We got Calvin. We have Phil back. Welcome back, Phil. We have Josh Shane. We have Roger. We have Will. We have Ben. We have the Guru Manual, which is currently in Florida on vacation. What's
Yep.
up, guys? How you doing?
What's going on?
Doing good.
Great. Great.
Doing
Thursday.
good.
Great day. It was a little, it was kind of cool here today. Not cool. I mean, I'm talking about like 75, but we had a nice rain overnight.
It was
Well, so
it's 105 where I'm at.
damn.
Jesus.
There's no extra credit here, Manuel.
All right, guys. We always start out with
It's nice
Will's
at
opening
75
for it.
here
We
today.
love this part. We love this part of the show. So we're gonna kick it off with Will. You got it, brother.
Got it. So yeah, Manuel's right. It is. I told you I was hotter than hell here, but I
Yeah,
don't think
you
y'all
did.
believe me, but it is. So I feel it. I feel it. I went out today a couple times in a couple different places, and it was so hot. It was crazy. All right, so getting kicked off this week, we're going to have Calvin start us off this week. Calvin, Randy Savage, best feud other than Hulk Hogan.
So I got two. I know there ain't no extra credit. The first one would be Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. You
Okay.
know where they faced off at WrestleMania 3 for the Intercontinental title.
Okay.
And the second one is Jake the Snake Roberts.
Nice. I like it. I like it. I like that a lot. I like the second one a whole lot better than I like the first one because the first one, although it was malicious the way Savage treated Steamboat, what Jake did to Savage was so much more like vulgar for the times. Like it just seemed like you almost wanted to see Savage kill Jake over what he was doing. And
I mean,
what a great feud.
yeah, he put a snake in a box for president at SummerSlam '91 for Macho and Miss Elizabeth's wedding.
Yep,
Also had a
absolutely.
snake bite Macho.
Yeah, yep. And if you think about, you're talking 33 years ago. You think about that happening on, it was recorded, but to watch it, it was like watching live TV back then. And to watch that live, I mean, people were freaking out, So
Welcome in,
that's a
Richard
great,
Lang.
great feud. What's up, Richard Sutton? What's up, Larry? What's up, everybody in the comments? Appreciate you guys stopping in. All right, let's move on. Phil, Bret the Hitman Hart probably was going to be the original NWO leader had he not re-signed his WWF contract in '96. So if he was the leader instead of Hulk Hogan in '96, how does that play out for the NWO?
Uh, I guess it really depends on how they're writing. I mean, Bret Hart at the time, of course, was top of the game, so I'm sure a lot of people still would have jumped ship and been flipping back and forth between WWF, WCW at the time. But Hulk Hogan is iconic, so I believe his heel run is going to be unmatched, and I don't really care who would have came in. I don't know if they would have had the same kind of impact. I do think that Bret Hart's career would have been a lot longer because I'm not sure that the whole him and Goldberg feud would have played out the same way. Him being frustrated with the booking and stuff, so I think it could have saved his career. It would have been better for him. I think it would have been worse for the NWO as overall though. But it may have capped off some of those people that kept joining. So NWO got so big it kind of got a little bit too much. I don't know if that would have happened under Bret Hart's watch.
So you think about Brett, right? Especially in March of '96, he leaves for 6 months. So the Hart Foundation hasn't been recreated yet. Brett hasn't turned heel, but also too, if you think about, Hogan turns heel July of '96. It's only a matter of 7 months later they turn Brett heel. So Hogan is technically the leader of WCW at that point. And Brett is technically the leader of WWF at that point. They turn Hogan bad. Brett comes back in November. 2 months later, within 60 days, they turn him bad. Don't you think that's in direct correlation to Hogan turning heel that they turned Brett heel so fast?
I can see that because like you said, they were both faced two of the best baby faces of all time, to be honest. So they see Hogan go heel. It's like let's try Bret Hart just to see if it works, and it just didn't. To me, it just didn't take off the same way. Now, of course, there's different factors you got to factor in, but I just I can't see the correlation of them turning Bret heel just because Hogan went heel, just to give him something different for their career, thinking maybe if Hogan can do it, Bret can do it.
Right. And not only that, just a side mention, even though we don't do extra credit, Brett picked up two more world titles during his heel run in WWF in 1997. A lot of people forget, but in February 97, he picks up a world title, only holds it for one day. And then in the summer of 97, he picks up the world title again. So they're still letting him, even when he wasn't the world champion, he's still the face of the company. So just kind of throwing that in there. I like
Yeah.
the answers. Thank you for the input. Shane, GI Shane, what's the best autograph in your collection?
Um, it's hard. I'm getting quite the collection. Um, I'd have to say my favorite. It'd have to be my Bray Wyatt figure
Yeah,
autographed. Um, I got that probably I would say a half a year before he passed away, and it's a sweet figure. I love it, and uh, I named my two cats after him. So that would be my favorite autograph out of my whole collection. I'd have to say Hogan would be second, and Sergeant Slaughter would be third.
nice. I like it.
Nice.
So Nick didn't join us, so I'm going to skip over Nick's question. Ben Bowman, what's your favorite Outsiders match and why?
I really enjoyed the. I think it was don't remember, drew a blank on the event, but when they faced the Steiners and they had $1 Million Man help the Steiners win the tag titles. At that time, of course, the Outsiders had the belts forever. I mean, it was probably they never were defeated. They always got stripped or they, had six join them and all it. They never lost the belts, but to actually see one good classic match between them versus the Steiners, and the Steiners finally winning it when the Steiners should have won it years before, when the Road Warriors was there, right when Harlem Heat was in the peak. They shouldn't have gave it to Public Enemy, during those times, American Males, stuff like that. They shouldn't. Steiner should have had a good little run in there with the Harlem Heat, and their tag titles would have been more. But that's like I said right then during that time when the uh, I guess the Steiners winning it, and then but what stuck too is a lot of the matches that you wanted to see have a conclusive winner. A lot of it back then, you had a lot of outside interference. So you had NWO members hopping in, or some random ones, or that one I think was a good clear cut winner. And of course, give it to the Steiners on that one.
Okay, I like it. Uh, just a side note on that too. Other than Harlem Heat, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash held the WCW tag team titles more than anybody else. Did you know that? Isn't that crazy? And we
Yes,
don't
Wow.
Harlem
really
Heat 10
we don't
times.
really we don't really talk about them. I do and we do here, but people in general don't really talk about them being one of the greatest tag teams of all time. But if you
Yeah.
think about it, they literally held the tag title more than anybody other than the Harlem Heat. So I mean that's how big they were. That's how over they were. Not to mention Nash goes on to carry six world titles in WCW. Hall goes on to carry the U.S. title multiple times, the TV title. So very celebrated for sure. All right,
Real
up next.
fast. I know y'all weren't talking about the Steiners, but I wanted to bring up that my favorite time when the Steiners, it may have been their first WCW title when it was when they won it. They were going back and forth with Freebirds, and nobody ever talks about that. That's why I wanted to bring it up because that was pre WWF. So, but yeah, that is my favorite Steiners when they were chasing because they would get so close and there'd be disqualifications, and then they'd finally win. So if y'all ever get a chance, I guess it's on Peacock. I haven't looked it up, but um, try to look that up on the Steiners and Fabulous the Freebirds feud.
I'll check
So
it out.
prior to the Steiners going to WWF too, if you remember, there was a weird feud going on. This was earlier, late '80s NWA. There was a weird feud going on with Doom coming in, Road Warriors and Steiners, all three kind of hating each other, and
Hmm.
they were all trying to be the number one tag team. And I tell you what, Doom was nothing to joke about. Doom was a
No,
cool ass tag team,
very underrated.
and you had a guy that would go on to become world champion, another guy who, potentially could have been world champion, especially for a smaller guy. Butch Reed was much smaller than a lot of the world champions of the time, but very easily could have gone on to become world champion. Up
Larry
next,
Walker has a question. Larry
go
Walker has
ahead.
a question.
What was Booker T and Stevie Ray's names when they first came?
The
Is it
Ebony
Kane and
Experience.
something?
Kane and
Ebony
No,
Cole.
it was
Experience.
no. It was when they first came to WCW. It was Kane and Cole.
Kane and
Yeah,
Cole.
Kane and
Yeah,
Cole. Yeah,
Kane and
yeah.
Cole.
Then
Yeah,
were they
Kane
the
and Cole.
Chain Gang or something like that?
I think that was just prior, right? Prior
Yeah.
to WCW. So, but in WCW when they first started appearing, it was Kane and Cole. So,
Yeah. I remember me, Kev, and Manuel had this discussion when we were in Evansville about Harlem Heat.
yeah, probably not considered very often as one of the greatest tag teams. I know we've gone through that several times, but absolutely has to be in the top five. And if you don't think so, then there's something wrong because again held tag titles more than anybody else, and they were selling tickets, believe it or not. And the only thing that stopped them from selling tickets was the company promoting Booker and pushing him on to run a singles career and him going on to become a six-time world champion. But the bad part is they left Stevie Ray kind of in the dust where he could have very easily done the exact same thing, you know.
Agreed.
But moving on, though, it's sad that this question it pops up right after that discussion. But Manuel, Ron Simmons' career highlight.
I think it's got to be his world title win. I mean, it has to be. I mean, technically, he's the first African American male, African American to do it, and it's underrated because not a lot of people know it. I mean, I mean, unless you're just a fan, I mean, you look it up, you'll see it, but I mean, it wasn't publicized. I mean, it was early '90s. I mean, he just had broke out from Doom. I mean, Ron Simmons was a legit athlete. I mean, he was a freak of nature. Nowadays people will say all his greatest accomplishments was when he teamed with Bradshaw and did APA. Well, yeah, to some people, but to the real wrestling fans, it's '92 when he won his world title. Technically the first African American to do it, and to him, that's. I mean, I even heard him say on a podcast once that he didn't even care that he was the first African American to do it. He just knew that he deserved the world title.
Not only that though, and of course, obviously that has to be a tremendous highlight with him. They put him over Vader, who was their monster at the
Right.
time. Vader had just destroyed Sting. Flair's gone. Flair's in another company at that point. So all they've got to really rely on is Sting, which is their, leader, their face of the company, and Vader, which is their lead heel, and really was kind of the face of the company too. And if you don't think so, go back and watch late '91 all the way up to late '93. And if you don't think Vader was a face of their company, man, you got to do some digging and look in there because he was leading that company. But they had just let Vader destroy Sting, not just beat him, but destroy him.
Yes.
Great American Bash '92, and then all of a sudden here comes kind of a you know almost a no name. The guy came out of Doom. Yeah, he had played sports. He had his jersey retired. He played college football, but he played, not necessarily for the NFL, but he played for a lot of, minor leagues. And then all of a sudden, this guy goes over, and it's like, holy crap, where did that come from? you know. So it was just as much a surprise for him to win that WCW World Title as it was for Brett in WWF to beat Flair. for the world title because it was like, the companies were going a different direction. Now, I think if Flair doesn't start heading back towards WCW and start getting into talks with WCW, and I think if Sting really wanted to run some more feuds with some other guys, I think you could have seen a much longer reign of Ron, or I think you could have seen multiple reigns of Ron, and I think that would have been okay. And then of course Nation of Domination stuff. Yeah, APA was great, Attitude Era, but Nation of Domination stuff, if you think about how hard that was for them to get out there and put that on cable television, and obviously we talk about discrimination so much today in 2024, but in 1997, the amount of reverse discrimination for them to get on live TV and talk about that was just incredible. And they were over, and it was believable when Ron Simmons goes against, I believe it was King of the Ring 97. I can't remember exactly. I think it's King of the Ring 97. Ron Simmons goes against The Undertaker, and you truly believe that Ron and the Nation of Domination is going to take that belt and Ron's going to be WWF champion. Prior to that, the whole Farouk Assad gimmick, I think that was just his way to get in the door, but he
Right.
really found his niche as a leader of the group. And if you listen to his Hall of Fame speech from 2012, you'll hear him talk about how, these guys look up to him, especially if you listen to JBL's part of it before Ron gets on there and talks. You'll hear how these guys looked up to him and they traveled with him and they grew so much from learning from him. And he was a true locker room leader. Doesn't get a lot of credit for it. You don't hear his name pop up all the time like you do the Undertakers, but you know, 1997 was still a tough time in the world, and for them to be able to get out there on that television and say the things that they did and get away with the things they did, he was really a top heel in the company at the time. So
I remember like watching it, and I was watching it the other day. I just was going through and watching, and like you said, the stuff they said. I remember like they were, it was like the gang warfare was getting ready to come. It was like the Nation and DOA
yeah,
and the Truth Commission. And I remember Ron Simmons in an interview was like, "We're gonna whoop all these crackers' asses," and I'm just
yep,
like,
yep,
as a kid, you're like, what the hell? You're
yep.
thinking,
And you had the Los Barriquas too, right? Wasn't
yeah. I
that
mean,
Yeah,
Savio's gang?
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
the stuff they got away with, they put, they had DOA, they had 8 ball change in school, they got away with saying what they said, but
Yep,
Ron Simmons was already, I think he was well respected enough and played enough of like, enough badass and had enough, clout, as you would say, to make you believe that he was going to whoop somebody's ass every week.
yep,
He was jacked. He was cool, man. He had the hat and the fucking snakeskin boots.
yep,
I wanted a pair just because Ron Simmons had a pair. I
yep.
I
mean,
thought he was going to win that title from Taker. I had said, I'm like, Simmons is going to win it right here.
If you go back and watch the 6 weeks leading up to that, I'm 99% positive it was King of the Ring 97. But if you go back and you watch the 6 weeks leading up to that, you truly believe that he's going to win that title. And he didn't need a title to get him over, but it would have been really cool to see that happen. You
right.
know,
Green.
we got to move on, unfortunately, but that's a great topic for another evening for sure. Brian Howes, where is Goldberg in the top 25 rankings of all time?
Top 25? I'd say he's 25.
Okay.
I mean, listen, the dude was dominant, right? But like, dude, if you watch some of his matches, man, he had botch galore. I mean, he hurt people. I mean, he wasn't that great on the mic. I don't know. I mean, he was just a big muscular guy.
Yeah.
That
That happened to look
so
like Steve Austin.
yeah. I mean, that's my opinion. But I'm
Okay.
sure there's a Goldberg lover out there, but that's my opinion. If you were to tell me that to name 25 best wrestlers, and I had to include Goldberg, he'd be 25th.
Okay. All right. Kev, favorite, not necessarily the best, but your favorite piece in your collection.
And this is hilarious, and you know why it's going to be hilarious because who we've been talking about is my signed Farouk Assad figure.
Yep.
That's
That is,
ironic.
It's a
yeah,
beautiful figure, man.
because it's not, it's not the, not the high price, not the best, but it's my favorite because that figure is so well made, but also that blue
yeah.
auto just makes that figure just, you could just look at. I'd grab it off the wall, but I'll talk about it. You never think that you could see through an auto to see the figure, but that that auto makes that figure more brighter. It's beautiful. It's my favorite piece in my collection.
They had
So
it down.
if you guys can't tell, Kev and I are both really big Ron Simmons fans. Just in case you guys couldn't tell. So,
Damn.
all right, last question for the night since Nick couldn't join us tonight. Roger, favorite Ric Flair moment or match of all time? Your opinion.
My opinion, and it's gonna be the opposite of how you worded it. My favorite Ric Flair moment was when he lost the title to Kerry Von Erich in Texas Stadium with
Yep.
WCCW. That to me
Cage
was
ma-
the best.
cage match, right?
No,
No, it wasn't a cage match.
Not the cage match.
No, it was just the regular match. It was the main event. I can't remember what the title of the.
I was thinking that's the one where he flew in on the helicopter and went in the cage out at the stadium.
No, I don't believe it was a cage match. It may have been. My memory's not the best, but that's the one where he lost it to Kerry.
Maybe
Although,
when he
granted,
won. Maybe
Kerry
when he won it. Maybe when he won it back. Is that when he flew in on the
that
helicopter
that
and went
could
in the
be
cage?
that could be. I'll look
All
it up,
right.
but
So
you're
yeah.
probably right.
So you got some homework to do because now we're gonna have to know the answer to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, Kev Buckler.
Shut up, Brian. Dickhead.
yes, sir. It's time. We're done. Y'all calm down. Let's be good. Hell, we're trying to run a damn civilized podcast here, and you're
I'm not
already.
doing anything. I'm just sitting here listening.
Since when is
All right,
this fucking
guys.
podcast civilized?
We're gonna
You
have
can't.
some questions for Will.
You can't even spell civilized.
Hey, shut up! All right, I'm going first. I have a question for Will that just came to my damn head. So, hey, Will, I got a question. I know you've seen the match. You know, everybody always talks about the Razor and Shawn Michaels ladder match.
Yep.
Okay, we all know that the first ladder match, or they want us to call it the first, Brett versus Shawn. If that
Yeah.
was on pay per view instead of just like the super tapes or whatever, do you think that would get more credit than what it does?
Absolutely. The problem is the mainstream folks didn't see that match. You probably had 100,000 people, maybe 200,000 people see that match. Where the Razor Shawn match, you probably had 20 million see it.
Mhm.
So when you look at that, everybody remembers that match and talks about that match. But that was kind of their part one. They had a part two of the exact same match at SummerSlam '95, and no one ever mentions it. No one ever brings it
No.
up. But if you look at it, the Mania 10 match was such a big deal, but I think it was as big of a deal as it was because it was the 10th Mania. It was in Madison Square Garden. They had spent so much time building up that feud. They spent more time building that feud up than they did building up Brett and Yoko, which ultimately was the main event where Brett takes the title from Yoko. But if you look at all the build-up, you wanted to see Sean get his ass beat so bad. And then you have a lot of people now in, different generations from us, younger people than us, that will talk about the Razor Sean match that have no idea that the second version of that match exists. They have no idea the Brett and Sean ladder match exists. Now, Brett and Sean had a great ladder match. Was it better than the Razor Sean at WrestleMania 10? Probably not. But ultimately, the Brett Sean best match I ever saw was at Survivor Series 92 when it was Intercontinental Champion versus WWF Champion, and that was a tremendous match. So, but I mean, again, you're talking probably a couple 100,000 people saw one match, and probably 10 million saw the other one.
All right,
What's up,
great answer.
Brad? What's up, Brad? What's
Hey,
up,
Brad
Brad? What's
Howarth.
up, everybody?
Speaking of Howarth, Brian Howarth is next. We can't hear you. Never mind, he's not
My
next. We can't
shit.
hear him.
My bad. My bad. So yeah, my question's a little bit different. So like, I'm sure you've seen them on Facebook or wherever. You see like all these championships, and you're supposed to guess the wrestler, right? Well, I'm gonna give you
Yeah.
some questions, and I want to see if you can guess the wrestler. All right.
Okay.
So this wrestler is a one-time ECW champion. He's a one-time World Heavyweight champion. He's a one-time WCW Tag champion. He's a two-time WWE Tag champion. A one-time WWF champion. One-time Hardcore champion. two-time Intercontinental Champ, 9-time WWF World Heavyweight Tag Team Champion. He is 8th on the list for the Triple Crown Champ. He's 3rd on the list as a Grand Slam Champ. And in 2010, he won the Money in the Bank on SmackDown.
Damn, that's difficult. That's difficult. You said he was one-time WCW champion, right?
He was one-time WCW Tag Champion.
But never the world champion. Damn.
It's a hell of a resume.
Woo. I don't know. I'm gonna say Rey Mysterio.
You want another guess?
No, go ahead and tell me.
The Big Red Monster, Kane.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Because at SummerSlam in 01, he won the WCW tag title. You're right. Yep. Man, I was thinking anywhere and everywhere, but I did not think about that.
That was awesome. All right, Mr. Calvin White, you have a question for Will this week.
Really good question, man. That was tough.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite Hogan auto in your collection?
Well, that is a tough one. I
Or
honestly,
favorite Hogan figure?
I think autographs has to be the Bash at the Beach one that you just got too. I think that one to me is so special that it really stands out. Now I have probably 100 plus. Like I could say my original No Holds Barred poster because there's just not many out there, and it's signed by him and several other people. But I think favorite wise, I would say the Bash at the Beach '96. It's the one signed by him and Nash. It's identical to the one you just got. And I think to me, that stands out the most as my favorite. Now, if you ask me the same question next week, you might get a total different. You might get a total different answer because it could be, a piece that I find in the closet. It could be something that I pull out of a poster tube. I mean, you got to remember, I have a WrestleMania 6, 7, 8 original posters, all signed by him, and a couple of them are up on the walls, and they're beautiful, but that Bash of the Beach just stands out to me.
All right, great question. Phil, are you able to ask a question?
Hey, just FYI, real quick, Hulk Hogan is live at the Republican National Convention right now.
Yeah, that's where I went to run off and watch it real quick.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah, my question is, if you could have been at any event, what event would you have been to?
Ooh. Oh man, that's so tough. I would say Survivor Series '95 always sticks out in my mind. That the mixed tag match that they had, which was a wild card match, and then of course Brett and Diesel, the third time they went against each other, and then you had Brett win the title. I would say if I could go back in time and go to any of them, that's the one I would go to. Now, my favorite WrestleMania that I would have liked to have gone to would have, of course, been WrestleMania 10, but you can't pass on WrestleMania 8 either. You had Brett and Piper, you had Hogan and Sid, you had Macho and Flair. So, I mean, there's some tremendous ones, but if I could go to just one, if I could go back in time, it would be Survivor Series '95. I know Robert Burdick's in the chat, and he was actually at that event live. And, anytime he talks about it, I'm always jealous. I did watch it live on pay per view, but sometimes that's not the same. So
right, yeah.
Okay, Shane, you're next, buddy.
My question, I don't really have a question. My question is, how you doing today?
I'm great, man. I'm great.
Nice.
I'm great. I'm nursing the beard out, and I'm doing good.
That
Looking
might be
good.
the best question of the night.
Yep. Keep that thing growing.
I
You heard what your wife said.
love Thursdays. I love Thursdays. I love our time together. I love the talking about the stuff and the bonding time. And anybody that ever talks to me for more than 5 minutes knows I hate Tuesdays, but I love Thursdays. So
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
Mr. Elkins,
Yes, sir.
you're next. You're next.
I'm next. So, with it goes in with the questions we're going to be asking later. What do you think was Lex Luger's greatest match throughout his
Hmm.
career?
You know, that's so tough, but I really think if you look back, you got to go to SummerSlam '93. There's just no other peak for him that's ever that strong. It's the absolute peak. It's unfortunate that he's had such a long career that you would think he would have, something that would stand up to that, but there's nothing out there. If you sat down 10 different events in front of you and said, okay, you can pick one event that features Lex, which one you watch, and I'm watching that one every time. Now, second place for me would be Survivor Series '93, the main event, All Americans versus Foreign Fanatics, but you just can't get a better match than that. It's got everything that you need. It has all the feels. It has the excitement. It has the scared moments. It has the sad moments. I mean, it has it all.
All right, fantastic.
I
Ben, you got
agree.
a question?
All right, since everybody's now it's just recently got the NCAA 25 just came out as for video games. Will if you're playing what wrestling game A would you play, and then the second part is which character would you use?
So, believe it or not, when I play those games, I generally don't use my favorite characters. I'll use characters that I think are just so badass and you could beat the hell out of them and they can still win. So, a lot of times I'll pick like Vader, or I'll pick Brock Lesnar, or I'll pick Yokozuna. I'll pick somebody that's just a badass character. So, when AJ Styles is trying to give him all these moves, Brock Lesnar will catch him and hit him with the F5. Now, of course, that's not necessarily my favorite wrestlers, but I always like to have that strength and size advantage when I play. If I can use Undertaker or Kane or any of those big guys with a lot of power, I'm definitely going to them first before I go to a technical wrestler, because 9 times out of 10 when you play those games, it's really just like a punch fest back and forth. Doing the moves is cool, but it's extremely difficult when you could win, pretty quick by hitting the punch button over and over and over. So I usually go with Brock a lot. I mean, and Goldberg too. If Goldberg's an option, Goldberg's another big power guy. I'll go in there and I'll be Goldberg and I'll beat you in like a minute and a half instead of wrestling with Brett. It'll take me like 20 minutes to beat you, but Brett gives you all these technical moves, and when you punch somebody with Brett, he doesn't really have the power behind him.
Yeah.
So,
Punch him with Brock. Punch him in the balls.
Yeah.
yep.
Hey, so which wrestling game would you play? You had to choose
You know,
that one.
I like the old SmackDown versus Raw games they used to have on PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3, but I had all those forever and I loved all those. These new ones are good too, but they're just not the same. Like, I think it was SmackDown versus Raw. Maybe it was 2000 and shit, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there, where you could just do your finisher over and over and over on somebody. So, like I would grab somebody and power bomb them, and then pick them up and power bomb them, and then pick them up and power bomb them, and then
That's
I would
awesome.
pin them, and that would be the whole match. And you can't really do that in the new ones because you have to build up all your stamina and build up your moves and all that stuff. And that's fine. It makes for a better, gameplay experience, but for me, I like just going in there and hitting some big moves and winning. I loved it when you could do the championship matches on those old games too. Like you could just make any match a championship match. You could put Goldberg versus AJ Styles. I'm just naming people, not necessarily those guys, but you could put those guys in a match for the world title. And in 30 seconds, Goldberg was a champion because you hit him with like 7 spears and a jackhammer, and you were good to go. Um, it's stuff like that I really really like. But for me, like when you play Grand Theft Auto, I don't really care about running around and stealing the cars and stuff. Like I usually just find me a good position to hide, and I just start either beating the hell out of everybody that walks
Yeah.
by or start shooting or whatever. And then when the cops come, I start running and try to get a car and get away. So I don't think I've ever completed a single mission on Grand Theft Auto because I was always busy, like, you know somebody would walk by and I beat the hell out of them.
So on these modern, I want to include my opinion on this. On these modern wrestling games, I don't play as anybody. I do the GM mode. I don't wrestle. I don't do anything. I make the matches and I control it. That's what, because I don't get any fun out of beating up a guy, or especially computer, and I don't like playing online because then they piss me off and I end up cussing them out and I get banned for about a month. So I just stay on
Hey,
the damn GM mode.
hey Kev.
Yo,
So if let's say you created a wrestler, you created yourself and you created Ben. Who would win in a match?
not Ben.
Damn, Ben.
Well, you know, Ben said he don't have a game system,
I
so
don't.
it's obvious that Kev's gonna win.
Exactly.
I got
All right,
old school.
let's get back on track and go to manual.
Sorry.
So
No,
so I
no, that went off. That's fine.
so mine's a two part question. First,
Always getting
who?
extra credit.
Hey, I'm trying. Who's the greatest WCW television champion, and who's the greatest ECW heavyweight champion?
Okay.
Ooh.
So, greatest WCW television champion is Arn Anderson. There's just nobody out there that you think of instantly when you see that belt. You know, you think of the original design, and then you think of the new gold design that came out. I mean, I see Ben saying Booker T, but you know, when you think of Arn Anderson back in the day, man, there's just none better. Booker T was incredible when he had it, but the only reason I wouldn't say Booker T is because of literally they gave him that belt just to
Booker's not even
see
Overlord Steven Regal, so in my
just to
opinion,
see how he would perform to move him up to the U.S. title, to move him up to the world title. That's the only reason they gave Booker
Damn, Ben.
T. That's the only reason they gave Booker T that television title was to see if they could get him over to go a little higher. So, but Arn, it was almost like designed for that belt. Like if you remember too, NWA, you know, I have one in the closet. I've shown it in here before. NWA, the red strap television title. Remember how Arn carried that bad boy? He had the black strap TV title. Then later on, he had, you know, the big silver version, and then of course, you know, later on had the gold. But you know, I just don't think you can put anybody above him. There's so many people that have had it, you know, Lex, Sting, all these other guys, but nobody really represented that belt the way he did. Now ECW, that's tough, man. That's such a tough question. Um, you know, God, I can't even Terry Funk maybe, and I can't even remember, you know, for sure who all the champions were at the time
Scott
because you're
Bam Bam
talking.
Bigelow.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking right out of Eastern
Mason,
Championship Wrestling straight into Extreme Championship
We
Wrestling
got
during that
Taz,
era.
RVD,
Yeah,
Shane
E-Man.
Douglas.
I mean, but you think about Terry Funk. How old was Funk then? Like 50 or
50s.
51,
Yeah, Terry. I
and
mean,
and
I mean,
world champion.
You
And
also
the
had
guy,
McMahon. You also had Vince.
Hush, I'm gonna mute you.
but
not the
that
damn new
wasn't that
shit.
wasn't real. That wasn't
That's
real
fake
ECW though.
ECW.
That
That's
was
fake
Do
with his
rag
ECW.
do
Vince.
with his do rag.
yeah. But
Jesus.
I'm talking about the old school, straight out of it was Eastern Championship Wrestling.
Right.
Then it became Extreme Championship Wrestling, and that's when you had that peak. And I really think Terry Funk kind of he gave legitimacy to that title. You got to remember Terry was an NWA World Champion too, and you know with him being NWA World Champion back then, they had a commission of people that had to vote and approve you before you could be NWA World Champion. And these guys were all like classic talents and classic promoters. And I just think that you know he brought real legitimacy to that. I mean, ultimately, you know, yeah, he was a talent and you know a performer, but that dude was a legit badass in his day, and nobody wanted to mess with him. Nobody wanted to mess with Harley Race
And
because
I asked
they
that
would
question
bust your face open quickly.
because I seen a thing today. They asked Mick Foley that same question, and his exact answer was Terry Funk. And they asked him
Oh
why, and
wow,
he said because when it became Extreme Championship Wrestling, who's more extreme than me is fucking Terry Funk.
yeah,
And it
You
happened
know,
at the
yeah,
very first pay per view. So, Barely Legal,
yeah.
that's where he first won the ECW title, and that was an awesome match. So,
But actually, Disco Inferno is the greatest TV champion in the world. So
Oh Jesus Christ! Go on somewhere.
Oh,
Hey,
Mute
you know
him.
what?
Mute
I
him.
was never I was never a fan of Disco. I never cared for the character. I'd love to see him get his ass kicked,
Me too.
but he's a pretty rare autograph, and I'm excited to say that I have one that'll be up on Tuesday. But go ahead, Kev.
Nice
There
little
you
plug.
go. All right, guys, we're going to go into
excellent
what we
plug.
think our top four SummerSlam. SummerSlam's coming up here, what, not next Sunday, Sunday after. So we're going to go around and we're going to tell what
It's
our
just
favorite
Kevin.
four.
Kevin. Kevin. It's on the Saturday. We're in North Carolina,
Okay. Well,
August
hell,
3rd.
August
I'd be
3rd.
well
Yep.
to
August
remember
3rd.
what I'd done 15 minutes ago.
So it's 2 weeks 2 weeks away. So you're right. 2 weeks away.
Yeah. Oh
So
wow,
what the
balloons!
hell? How the hell did you get balloons?
Balloons.
Just
What the
He went
hell?
like this.
it won't. There it
Huh.
goes.
So in honor
There
of
it is.
SummerSlam, we're going to do our
don't get
top
that shit.
four SummerSlam events, and
This is
this time
gay.
we're going to start at the bottom left with Will.
Nice. So obviously, my favorite of all time is '93. So that is on its own plateau, right, by itself. And then you got to go '88. You got to have '88 in there because the Mega
Agreed.
Powers, Mega Bucks. How you gonna beat that, right?
Who's keeping
But then
tabs?
but then it gets
You.
really, really tough because you start looking around and you're like, man, where do we go from there? Those are two tremendous ones, but I think you got to go to 2002, which is kind of a surprise because I don't do a lot of the modern or more modern stuff. I think you got to go to 2002, where you had Rock versus Brock, you had Shawn
Mhm.
versus Triple H in the Street Fight, and
Yes, sir.
then I think going from there, you got to go to '97, and '97 was heart and soul. Undertaker versus Brett. You had Bulldog versus Shamrock, Owen and Austin. So many tremendous matches on that card. And of course, Sean's the referee for Brett and Taker. And, what a tremendous event. So I would take every single SummerSlam there's ever been, and I would say those are the top four of all time, not necessarily in that order. 93 for me is absolutely the top,
Hmm.
but not necessarily in that order. Now, obviously there's plenty of runner-ups and there's plenty of room for debate there, but those are some stellar cards.
See, there's a reason I picked you to go first because you just picked the exact same four that I would have picked.
Yep.
Anybody keeping score?
Brian is.
I am.
Hey, hey, just real quick, Brian is making scorekeeping great again.
Yes, he is. Oh,
You got two of
I
my
didn't see no
four, Will, so I'm
fireworks.
pissed off at you.
But
Yeah,
that's why
fuck
I let him
this.
go first because I knew he would pick the
Hey,
four that I picked.
it's
So that.
only. Yep, exactly.
All right, Ben. We'll go counterclockwise.
All right. Well, there's some I'm surprised that Will didn't take. That I'm gonna go. My first one's '91. You have the jailhouse match with Big Boss Man versus the Mountie with one of our guests just recently. Love that match, which was a great SummerSlam. Of course, you had that's the same one that Miss Elizabeth gets married. Him and Macho to the wedding. Uh, you still had Hogan there. Like I said, '91 was good. '92 was my next one in Wembley when Brett versus British Bulldog. Uh, that was a great iconic moment. Number three is '94. That was probably the all-time '94 Lex or Tatanka. The Lex sold out match, which was Tatanka was the heel. You had Alundra Blaze versus Bull Nakano. Guys, we got a bunch of Bull Nakanos that you'll see coming through. A very tough auto to get, but that match. Then you also had Brett versus Owen in a steel cage. Like I said, that was top to bottom one of the better SummerSlams '94. And then the other one, like I said, Wheel took was 2002 Brock versus Rock, youngest champion of all time. So there's my
All right.
four.
All right. Appreciate you.
Now,
Manuel.
now remember what I said at the beginning of mine. There's a lot of room for debate.
Yes,
So, I mean, it's hard to go wrong with any of those.
you
But
can.
also, Ben didn't mention Undertaker versus Undertaker. If you did, I didn't hear it.
I didn't.
That was a big deal at the time.
Yeah, Manuel.
So my first one is SummerSlam '92, Brett Bulldog Wembley. How could you not? Just you know, it's Wembley. Then I'm going to go SummerSlam '96 for me. The Boiler Room Brawl, just because I like Jim Ross saying, "Damn it, that's hot coffee." Yeah.
That's
But
right.
that was just if you watch the Legends thing on A&E, Big Foley said they filmed that 2 days. Taker's like I want to, I don't want to, I don't want I want it to be realistic as it can be. So that one for me. Then SummerSlam 2002. Brock and Rock. Passing of the torch, if you would say. The youngest world champion at that time. And then for me, SummerSlam 2022 because I was there in Nashville, um,
Damn, we
watching
were there too,
We
but
were
we
there
didn't go
too.
to see
Yeah.
it.
watching Brock, raise the forklift on the ring. Uh,
Did you go
just
to the what was that event called we went to, guys?
Starcast.
Starcast, Flair's
no,
last
no,
match.
no. We went and watched the OVW show downtown the night before, and then uh, we went to
Yeah,
SummerSlam the next day. But those
yeah,
are my four.
we were all
Yeah,
over Nashville, man.
we were all up. We went to beat Becky Lynch, and we
You
met
went
on
to
the
beat
PA.
Becky Lynch.
Went to meet, and then we ate
Oh,
barbecue with Virgil, and he was
Well,
spitting in our
technically,
barbecue sandwich.
technically, Kev wanted to beat Becky Lynch.
Ah, yeah, she juiced up my auto, so I liked
And
it.
then they were trying to survive with Ben's driving.
Yeah,
And
well,
then
that
Ben
was
slammed the
later.
door.
That was the
and
next
then
year. That was
Oh,
the
and then Ben
following year.
attacked
Yeah,
the
that,
guy with the
Holy
door.
hell!
we talking about the year Ben slapped the dude in with the door.
With the door.
Hey, but if we were a Survivor Series team, I was the last man standing. Just
Unless somebody threw a packet of sugar at you, then you were done.
These aren't chocolate
No,
chips.
no shit, no shit. Kev had, I'm not even going to say it on here, but Kev had a medical emergency that was like, it was extremely impressive. I'll say that. I could barely walk. I mean, literally barely walk. It was horrible. I was in horrible pain. I damaged my knee and could barely walk. Uh, the other guy we were with too, he had cut his hand open and he was having a hard time with that. And then Ben was doing fine. So we were a Survivor Series team. Ben would have been the sole survivor unless somebody threw some sugar at him because Ben had got some bad news about sugar just prior to that. So, but other than that,
They were
we were
guts
good
and
to go.
glory. Guts
Yeah.
and glory. They were the team Guts and Glory.
Now the following year was when Ben drank a bunch of shit and then drove 100 miles an hour down the road.
That'd
Yeah, I think I had already left by then, and then I didn't
have
end up
been
getting a speeding ticket. So
that'd have been Jerry Lawler's team, Cheesy Queasy.
I ended up getting
Yep.
Ben's ticket. I was just driving back listening to some George Jones, minding my own business, and got a speeding ticket. And Ben could have got a ticket. And
Let's just say Kev Buckler was bleeding internally and externally, and I was
yes,
walking on a cane, and it was pitiful, but it was a whole lot
Yeah,
of fun.
anal
it was
leakage.
uh, it was a blast. All
I
right,
bet it
Phil.
was.
So I also picked SummerSlam 2022 because, like Manuel said, we was there, and it was a good match. Edge came back and the tractor, and I mean y'all was there, so y'all know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
But I'm gonna go also with SummerSlam 2000. That was the first TLC match. Many people think it was WrestleMania, but it was actually SummerSlam 2000 with the Hardys and um, who was it?
Dudley,
The
Dudley's Edge and
Dudleys and
Christian.
yeah,
Edge and
yeah,
Christian.
yeah. So I do like that one. Triple H, The Rock, Angle. They had a three-way as well, and Taker and Kane fought. I also have SummerSlam 2013. That was pretty lit. Cena and was it Daniel Bryan and Brock and
Triple H,
was it
Brock
Brock
and
and
Triple
Triple H or
H,
Brock and CM Punk?
Brock and Triple H. I
Okay,
think it was Brock and Triple H.
I thought it was Punk, but maybe it might have been Triple H.
It,
And
it
then
might have been. It might have been Brock and Punk. Maybe it was 2012 when Brock and Triple H faced.
and
Those
then
are,
I've
either way, those are both
either
great
way.
great matches. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then SummerSlam '94, um, Head Shrinkers versus Bam Bam and IRS,
Yep.
Brett and Owen, Razor and Diesel. Um, but yeah, that's my four right there.
I like it. Those are good
Currently,
ones.
I'm,
Now,
I'm currently watching SummerSlam '95 right now with Bret Hart
That's awesome.
beating
See, I
Isaac
love all
Jenkins.
these opinions because you can't go wrong with any of them because we all
Right.
like different
you
things.
you
So
can't. And another one too that you never hear about, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about the year, but I think it was 2001. You had Rock and Booker for the WCW title. You guys remember
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah.
That was a great match too, and I think that was 2001. But that was a great one too. So I know we don't do extra credit. I'm just throwing it out there.
all right, Shane.
Um, I'll go 93 and 94, and then I'm gonna go 22 and 23. And 23 was because I was there. It was in Detroit, and then the year before, sat here and watched it with my son. With Brock and Roman, it was great. And then the early '90 ones, you love them because it brings you back to being a kid. Mm.
Absolutely great picks. How about it, Roger?
All right, so I wrote mine down. So give me 1 second. I gotta pull it
SummerSlam
up.
76, SummerSlam 69.
Shut the fuck. Who told the help to
SummerSlam
talk?
He
1926.
had to write them down. He couldn't remember.
Well, man, hell,
Who
they're
who
going
told
back 40 years.
who
SummerSlam
Yeah.
told the help
1912.
who told the help to talk?
SummerSlam 2088.
All right. I got SummerSlam 88, the Mega
We can't
Powers
see you
versus Mega
anyway,
Bucks.
so
You can't see anyway, buddy.
there you
There
are.
we go.
All right, so I got SummerSlam 88, Mega Bucks versus Mega Powers. I got SummerSlam 93, Yoko versus Lex. SummerSlam 2008, which is Edge versus Taker in the Hell in a Cell. And SummerSlam 2020, which was Bray versus Braun.
All right, that is freaking awesome, Calvin.
So I have SummerSlam 23, of course, Tribal Combat. Oh, SummerSlam 91, SummerSlam 88, and SummerSlam 2005. Hogan
Fantastic.
versus Shawn,
There you go.
There
which
you
had
go.
other great matches. Some weren't as great, but you had the Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero for custody of Dominic.
All right,
And then
awesome.
what was Edge versus Matt Hardy? So
All right. I want to put real fast Garrett Peterson. He put down here, I'm heading to my first WWE live event tomorrow night for SmackDown since like '03.
Hey Garrett, are you
Wow.
are you from Omaha? Because SmackDown's in Omaha tomorrow. So
Okay.
yeah.
That's where he says he's going. So we'll let him answer that, but we'll go on to you, Brian, and let you answer yours.
Hey,
Well,
just real
Garrett,
quick,
oh, go ahead.
real quick. Phil was right. It was Punk versus Brock. I just want to make sure I made that correction. I just pulled out the Blu-ray from the shelf over here. It was Punk versus Brock. 2012 was Brock versus Triple H. So I was off by a year.
Close. He's on the Iowa side.
Oh, okay.
We hope you have a great time,
Well,
Garrett. Thanks for joining us on the podcast, brother.
well,
Yeah.
Garrett, I hate to tell you, but that's the wrong side. But anyway, my SummerSlam picks are SummerSlam 2000. Kind of like what Phil said, it's the first ever TLC match. And then obviously you had Shane McMahon versus Steve Blackman, where obviously we've seen Shane fall from when Steve Blackman hit him with that Singapore cane. Next, I have SummerSlam '97. Brett beating Taker, and then obviously Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Owen, where Stone Cold broke his neck and finished that match. Then I have SummerSlam 2005. Hogan and Shawn Michaels just oversold every goddamn move Hogan had in that freaking match. He was just hilarious as hell.
But
And
it was
obviously
still
Ray.
good. It was
Well,
still good
yes,
though.
it was, but man, like some of those things he was
people
doing.
shit on that match so
I
much,
don't. I
but it
loved
was
it.
still good. I could still watch it today, especially the vignettes kind of leading up to it, where you see, the 4th of July and they're doing the pose down and all that. And all of a sudden, Sean
Oh
just
yeah,
kicks him right in the mouth. Like, I literally remember exactly where I was when that moment happened. Like, that's how significant that was in time if you were a fan.
Hey,
Garrett, we
you know, as
appreciate
bloody
you
as
scrolling
Hogan
through
got,
Facebook and finding us. We appreciate that. And if you ain't got a chance yet, go on over and like the Top Rope Collectibles page, man. We got a lot of stuff going on there. We'd love to have you.
and then
Yeah.
and then
Also,
my
real quick, sorry, Brian. Also, real quick too, if you have wrestling fans, friends, a family, please also invite them to the page as well. Sorry, Brian.
you're good. My last pick is 2019. I know who said 2000 or who said 2020? Was it Roger?
yeah.
Well, 2019 is when the Fiend debuted against Finn Balor, so that's why I picked 2019.
Awesome.
So
But 2020 though is when you had Braun and Bray, and then you had Roman come back. Remember?
yeah,
Because
That was the
the
whole wreck
advertisement,
everyone and leave.
well, the slogan for the event was "You'll never see it coming," and at the very last 2 minutes of the show, Roman comes out and beats the holy hell out of everybody.
yeah. But I mean that
Garrett,
match, but that freaking Fiend versus Finn Balor match was a squash anyway. So
yeah.
Yeah, but also though he came out. Remember he had the lantern when he
oh yeah,
came out, where he
yep,
had virtually killed the old character and became
Yep.
the new. So very significant there too. So great. It's hard to go wrong with any of these because there's tremendous moments in all of them.
So Garrett's
Yeah.
question, but most of you all DVR'd this. The speaking of Hogan
yeah,
about the speech tonight. So you all DVR'd it and hadn't watched it yet,
oh yeah,
right?
yep.
I
I
kind of
watched it when
watched
it
it
happened.
while it was on.
I have it
Yeah, I
on in the
watched it while it
background
was
right
going on.
now.
I'm watching it.
Okay, we're going to run into our show and tell.
Roger, why would you watch it? You're a
Kev, what's
Viking fan.
yours?
I'm getting ready to show you here.
Your SummerSlam.
Fuck up.
Oh, mine was the same as. That's why I didn't mention. That's why I let Will
Uh,
go first because I figured we'd be the same because we're just alike. So mine was the same thing as Will's, exactly down to every 4.
Y'all are
Copy.
crazy.
Coppercat.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's my twin. What can I fucking say?
I mean, we do talk like every single day though.
We
So.
do. All right, here's my first show and tell. Shane will appreciate this. It's a G.I. Joe mag.
Oh
oh
man.
wow.
It's rated
Wow.
9.6.
Very nice.
That's got Baroness hugging on where they're paying tribute to Piper. It's
Very
enclosed.
cool.
Never will be open. It will be like that forever.
Very
I
cool.
love that.
Yeah.
So
And
that
one
was
more.
a San Diego Comic Con exclusive the year after he passed away. So I mean that's how significant that was. That he even in death became a San Diego Comic Con exclusive. I mean, it was a big deal. Yes, Garrett Brian is in Omaha.
Yep. Omaha, Nebraska, baby.
And
Or
to
sorry,
close it all out,
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
on card.
That's
Look
beautiful.
at that. Look at that.
That is
Not
a beautiful
only
Piper.
not only that, Kev, but what kind of card is that? That's a Merlin
Merlin.
card.
Merlin.
Sweet.
Merlin, baby.
Damn, Kev just said, I'm gonna drop the mic right now.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Just going to mic drop it. Shit. All
May
right,
as well
Brian.
just end show and may as well just
so I-
end show and tell now, huh?
End it now. What the fuck?
So
Go
I-
on.
So I have a couple things to show. So I got the Ultimate Cody. It's
So
an
what do
okay
you-
figure. I don't know.
So what do you want to
What?
talk about? So what do you want to talk
What do you
about?
want to talk about?
I want to talk about how I finally got this and I couldn't find it in the stores anywhere, but I finally got my Monday Night Wars Nash. That's what I want to talk about.
Hell yeah.
Is that what you want to talk about?
Well, that's what I am talking about.
Garrett's
up your
family
ears.
lives in Omaha.
Boy.
He's like 45 minutes away.
Listen here,
Nice. Well,
son.
welcome. Welcome, Garrett. We're really glad to
Omaha-
have you here, man. Welcome to
Omaha
Top
is-
Rope Collectibles.
Omaha's great, and Garrett, we're gonna keep Omaha great.
That's right.
Right. Next, let's see. Calvin.
So I'm gonna start with the new Fanatics Hollywood Hogan pop.
Awesome.
Nice.
Love
Big
that.
shout out to Fanatics for the shit pack job,
Yeah, they
packing job.
suck.
The
Nice. Original, baby.
That is
Oh
original.
man,
beautiful.
I remember seeing
Wow.
that. Hell yeah. Calvin
One
didn't make
more
it
and I'm
all for that.
done.
Now,
And he just
Calvin,
mentioned it.
you can look. Calvin,
Oh,
you can look and see. I did the absolute best I could to flatten that poster out, and it come out pretty damn good, honestly.
Yeah,
That
it
original,
it looks good.
it come out good, man. I tell you what, for it being, what, 40 years old?
It
Garrett,
looks good.
these guys need those figures.
Look
yeah.
at that.
And then this beautiful
Now that is
16 by
beautiful.
20.
Oh, I love it.
Gorgeous.
I love it. And he inscribed Hollywood on there because technically that was the birth of Hollywood that
It
monument.
was.
So
I wouldn't want
absolutely love
anything
it.
else
Yes, it
That-
subscribed.
was.
Hollywood's
That's
perfect.
beautiful, Calvin. I have that same picture, but mine's not inscribed Hollywood, unfortunately.
Right. Thank you, Calvin. We're going to go to Phil now.
Nice
Phil.
pickups, Calvin.
Uh,
Shout out to Calvin.
So this is actually going to be mine for this week. It is the first piece that I got from TRC, Miss
Hell yeah.
Jacqueline.
Oh, very nice.
Jacqueline.
Nice.
Love Jacqueline. Loved her as Miss Texas.
Got the blur on, so you can't really,
That's all right. That's all right. We all go through that.
but you can see what it is.
I can
Oh,
see those
yeah.
boobs. That's all I'm
See
worried
those
about.
boobs.
I'm seeing some tickle bitties.
Yep.
I can see. It says hugs and kisses.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
See,
Roger's
this my
not.
first-
Roger's like, oh, that's a nice belt. While
right.
everyone else is looking at her titties.
Oh, Roger, damn man, I didn't mean to agree.
Okay, we're going to
Don't
jump over
worry
to
about
Roger.
it. Brian's just
Clean
a
it up
little
real
bitch.
fast. Your turn, Roger.
Oh, I'm up next?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Hold on. So I got lucky and hit the jackpot. I found the Monday Night Wars, the Harlem Heat.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Nice. That is awesome.
Hell yeah.
I found RVD.
Cool deal.
I got an RVD coming from somebody, I think.
And The Rock.
Nice.
So you got
So
the
I got the
disciple.
full. I got the
So
full
you-
disciple.
Nice. Good deal.
I got some more, but I'll show those next week.
All right.
I'm jealous.
Appreciate it, buddy.
I
We're
am
going to go to
jealous.
Shane now.
I was grabbing these off the shelf. I got these
Oh.
this week.
I can always count on you to have
Nice.
Joe shit. That's awesome.
One of the Dreadnoughts.
Wow.
And one of my favorites, Jinx.
Nice.
I just
Garrett, man,
grabbed-
come join
Garrett,
the
you
top rope
can
collection.
show it whenever, dude.
And we have, you can show your collection all you want. I put up one especially on Fridays and Saturdays.
Garrett, the
down.
admin team will send you a friend request,
Yes.
and then we'll send you a link to our group, and then you'll be able to share all that with us too. We're excited to have you. Thanks for
He's
joining.
got Dom and Ray. Okay.
Oh,
Awesome,
Dirty
Shane.
Don
Nice.
Man Ray. LWO Ray.
Yeah, and I found the.
Oh, that's cool.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
And I picked up the
I love that figure.
Basic Warrior.
The
I like
Ultimate
it
Warrior.
too. Yeah.
And you know what we gotta do with that Basic Warrior, right?
Rip it
You
away.
do. Rip
There you
it,
go.
baby.
Let it breathe.
Open that bad boy.
Don't
Hell
rip
yeah.
it. No.
Okay,
Oh, basics you can rip open.
there we go. There we go. He'll look cool up on the shelf with the other figs.
Now he just needs an icy strap right around his waist, man. That thing will be popping. Look at that.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it.
Awesome.
I'm gonna get me one of those too. I like that.
All right. That's great. Okay, we're going to
Thank you,
go to
brother.
Mr. Bowman.
All right. Well, I don't have anything
Marion.
here, but we're gonna let Marion show her show and tell.
What you
something that
got,
she-
Marion?
All right, show 'em.
What you got, Marion?
Well, in the bag or in here is marbles.
Marbles.
Nice.
So she's all of a sudden, I don't know why she's wanting to start collecting marbles. So I just bought her they called it a marble world, but it's like a like the tunnels and the tubes and stuff where you put the marbles in and it goes all the way around. But I got her already. She probably has over 100 marbles. So
Sweet. Good
that's
job,
kind of
Marin.
her thing
Let,
lately.
let,
So
let me just say for the record, you are a much braver man than me because I was always terrified of that stuff because I just always had a bad feeling my kids would want to chew on them. And anytime I would find them in the house, I would just trash them all. So you're much braver than me, man.
That's a
that's
big
her.
marble there.
Yeah, that's her favorite. The big one.
That's cool.
The
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
like out of the pack, you get like I think 50 small ones, and then you get one big one. So she likes the. I guess those
Just
are
make
the
sure
10 millimeters. So
just make sure from dad to dad that she knows how disgusting they are and never
yeah,
put them near her
you,
mouth.
what's the rule about the marbles? You're not supposed to have them in your mouth. Tell them.
You are not allowed to put a marbles in your mouth.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Good
Okay, that's
girl.
all we got.
Thank you,
Good
Marin.
girl.
But Roger lost his marbles too, though. So
What?
Okay, we're gonna leave Manuel
Why are
last.
you
We're gonna go
starting
to.
already?
Have we done Calvin already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so who am I missed? I just got Manuel.
he's
Manual
got
left.
Yep.
Yep.
me.
Okay, let me
Fuck
And
do
that
Will.
that.
guy.
I have it.
You didn't get me, man. What?
Oh, what the hell? How did I skip
Oh
Will?
yeah.
It all
On
got mixed
purpose.
up.
On purpose, because of last week.
No,
Yeah, something
I
happened.
let
It
you
all
go
got
first
mixed
this
up.
week because of last week because I knew we'd have the same. Let me.
Yeah. Here we
Since I got
go.
me in here, let me go on and show Manuel real
Here comes
fast.
the stories. Here comes the stories now.
Hold on, let me figure out how to do
All
that.
I'm gonna say is fuck Manuel. Go ahead, Will.
There you go. There's Manuel's.
So I got those from Calvin.
Nice. Man,
So
I love that. I love that
Nice.
series
That's
34.
cool.
and
I
the,
love
That
that figure.
elite is awesome.
I don't want to take the pop out though. The pop pin. I don't want to take it out.
Then
No,
Then
don't.
leave
don't.
it.
Then don't.
No, leave
Nobody's
But the
it.
gonna make
Hogan,
you.
I mean, it
the
displays
Hogan,
good just like it is.
the Hogan will get ripped open.
Yep.
Why?
Hell yeah.
Why?
Hell yeah.
I rip it
Why?
because you need to put the boa on him.
Rip it.
So I
No.
can hear him say he's a real American fighting for the right of
So
every man.
correct me if I'm wrong. Is that no? That's not. That's the Monday Night Raw version, right? The Series 34 was when he was on Raw. He did a return on Raw like in
Yes, I believe so.
Yes,
Yeah.
2013
yeah.
or 14. That's a sweet figure, man. But I would advise you get a little tube of super glue and just barely put a little dab of super glue on the glasses because those glasses do not want to stay on his face. Trust me. I mean, you can kind of see. I
Okay.
mean, I got Hogan galore kind of hanging out back there, right? Trust me, just a little teeny tiny dot, dot of super glue, and you're good to go because they do not like to stay on his face. And once you lose those yellow glasses, you're not going to find them again.
Okay, Will, your
Okay?
turn.
Damn right it is. So we've been talking about it. I
Oh,
talked
shit.
about it last week. I talked about it last week, and I
Ron
told you
Simmons.
guys I was going to share it in the chat. Well, then I found out that Phil wasn't in the chat, so I wanted to make sure I brought it on here. So if you remember this, you know, Edge and Christian come out on Monday Night Raw, and they go to the APA for help and protection, and they ask the APA, they're like, "Hey, we need your services. Will you take a check?" And Ron Simmons very quickly, unscripted, says to him, if that check bounces, you're going to bounce. And so many people forgot that remark. Like they forgot that comment, but it was such a good, strong comment. So a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to talk to Ron, which I've seen him several times. And I said, "Do you remember this comment?" And he's like, "Yes, I remember that." He said, "I never, planned that out. It just popped out of my mouth when I said it." And almost everybody, like, it just kind of went over their head. But to me, it stuck out. So I had him inscribe that. That's what the inscription says on that picture. So I will share the actual still picture of that in the chat so you guys can kind of read it a little better than on the camera. But to me, that was such a cool, unique inscription. And I don't think there's a lot of those out there because, again, most people don't remember it. But if you're going back and you're watching those Attitude Era Raws, and you'll see that moment, and it's so funny because Edge and Christian are so desperate for help to retain their tag titles. They go and seek the help of APA. And one other thing, real quick, I'm just going to do kind of like a preview because I don't do a lot of previews. But one of my main events for this coming week is the 20 years of Cena signed photo. And the cool part about this is it's got so many moments from his career, all around the border.
That's
I
gorgeous.
mean, it is it is
Kev already
super
claimed it
cool.
already.
It is super cool.
Oh yeah,
If you
Kev's giving
look
no
like
chances.
you can't really see very well, but it's got so many great moments from his career on there that it's incredible. So of course that'll come JSA certified as well. But there's not a lot of that one out there. There's some Cena stuff out there, but mostly now Cena's are in the $300 range, and
I know one guy that won't be claiming it.
I can tell you that one's not going to be anywhere
Why are you
near
a hater, Manuel?
Fuck John
that
Cena.
one's not going to be anywhere near that
Don't,
Damn.
price.
don't do
But
me, bitch, when I show it in future show and tells.
it's
Damn.
going to be
Never liked him.
a winner. You put that bad boy in a
Jeez.
frame and get it on the wall, and it's going to pop like crazy. So absolutely, I absolutely love it. Like I said, the chronicles of the history of his matches alone is worth every penny.
I'd
All right,
like
guys.
Roger before I like John Cena.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Damn.
We'll have
Oh
to pick it
God.
up another time. But we've come to our 70 minutes. That's what we were going to do tonight. So instead of going out of the room, I'm just going to say goodbye for everybody else. Tune in Tuesday night. We're going to have the Top Rope Collectibles TRC live. It's at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We usually try to do an hour, but a lot of times we go overtime. Come get your steals and deals. And
Yep.
also, this time next week, we'll have to be the same place for Top Rope Talk. Thank y'all so much, and we'll see you then.
Have a good night.